Thank you for tuning in to HardNews TV4. I'm your host, Terri Lynn, and this is the channel where truth is like archaeology, and every day we're digging for it. Today is August 26, 2020, and this is my top 10 for today. This is from yesterday. CDC warns employees not to argue with anti-mask customers. Y'all, I said this in the beginning, that they were putting the burden on little low-life, lower-ranked employees to confront people at the door who aren't wearing masks, and that was putting people's lives at danger. Well, now the CDC is warning employees not to argue with anti-mask customers. So, if everybody in large masses would not wear a mask, businesses could, if every single person decided, hey, today I'm not wearing a mask, today I'm not going to be controlled anymore, and if every single person tried to go into a store without a mask, the manager would be calling the police all day. Come enforce this mask mandate. The police would not have time to even respond to it. But people just willingly accepted, oh, I better wear the mask. And if we stood up in large numbers and resisted, we wouldn't even be in this situation. Okay, article number 2. This is pretty interesting. CDC quietly revises coronavirus guidance to downplay importance of testing for asymptomatic people. Y'all, this doesn't even make sense. The CDC has quietly revised its guidance on coronavirus testing to say that people without symptoms who were exposed to an infected person might not need to be tested. The agency previously recommended testing for anyone with a recent known or suspected exposure to the virus, even if they did not have symptoms. I thought that was the whole point of the contact tracing, them putting apps on your phone to let you know that you were near somebody that had the virus. Oh, so that means contact tracing now is really for something else? The CDC's previous guidance cited the potential for asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic transmission as a reason why people without symptoms who were exposed to the virus be quickly identified and tested. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is no longer recommending coronavirus testing for everyone who's been exposed to the virus, saying people who don't have symptoms do not necessarily need a test. But they were quarantining people who might have been exposed to somebody, house arresting them. Wow. That's why it's called the virus. A truth never changes, but a lie always does. It changes day to day. It's so ridiculous. Article number 3. Using an unsleeved elbow to cover your mouth when you cough is less effective at stopping the spread of the virus than using your hand, study shows. Researchers examined the flow of a cough from different types of mouth covers. They found N95 masks perform the best, and any mask is better than no mask. Covering your mouth with your elbow only works if the elbow is covered up. Now watch how crazy this is. Coughing into your elbow only helps to stop the virus droplets spreading if it is covered with the sleeve, and is less effective than covering your mouth with your hand. Researchers from Indian Space Research Organization created a model of the flow fields of coughs under different types of mouth covering scenarios. They found that any mask is better than no mask when it comes to keeping the cough contained, and that if you're going to cough into your elbow, you should keep it covered. Wearing a mask while out in public has become the recommended practice months into the COVID-19 and is a legal requirement for many indoor places. For many, using an elbow is considered a polite alternative to sputtering into your hand. But unless the elbow is covered, the hand keeps more of the droplets from spreading. Okay, So let's play this little scenario real quick. I just coughed into my hand. I moved my hand. So where do all the droplets go that I just coughed into my hand? Did they just die in my hand because my hands are Lysol infected and I just killed all the germs? Or do they float out when I move my hand? Or if I cough into my elbow and I move my elbow, those droplets don't fly, they magically disappear. I mean, this is just getting so ridiculous because they show computer-generated models that show how your cough goes over the wall at the grocery store, but when you move your hand or your elbow, it just goes away. Eye roll. Article number 4. Every American home is getting a flood risk score. Every American home. And many are at higher risk than previously known. Starting this week, every homeowner and potential homeowner in America will be able to see a new analysis of their property's flood risk. Y'all, where do y'all think this is going? Every home in America is getting a flood risk score. Where do you think this is going? They are going to go up on your home insurance. All this rioting and looting and destroying everything, they need to recoup their money from somewhere. The money they're having to pay out, they're needing to recoup it from somewhere, and they are going to the American homeowner. First Street is remapping American flood risk in an effort to educate homeowners, buyers, and the greater real estate industry as it assigns a flood score to every property. It could have a huge impact on the national market because now people who thought that they were previously not in a flood zone, all of a sudden are going to be considered in a flood zone, and you're going to have to buy flood insurance. Article number 5. Columbia Journalism Review explains how the Gates Foundation manipulates the media narrative. Most readers probably don't realize how much money the Gates Foundation spends backing even for-profit media companies like the New York Times and the Financial Times, some of the most financially successful legacy media products thanks to their dedicated readerships. For most media companies which don't have the financial wherewith of the two named above, the financial links go even deeper. Okay, so Bill Gates is influencing public opinion on everything because of how much money he's given to the newspapers. Bill Gates has his hand in everything. Article number 6. Police requests to have access to your smart speakers are up 72% since 2016. Amazon said it had received more than 3,000 requests for smart speaker user data from police earlier this year. So the police are wanting to know what's inside your little speakers. If y'all got them, throw all this mess out. Article number 7. Portland businesses leave due to lawlessness endorsed by mayor. So here we go again. Businesses are leaving. We saw they're leaving New York City. They're leaving Minnesota. We're going to have hellholes in the major cities, and the insurance company is going to come to the rest of us to pick it up. There are literal battle zones erupting all over the United States of America right now. This is so true. Part of the new normal in America seems to be battle zones erupting all across our nation. I'm not just talking about protests, but full-on sieges that may last for days, weeks, or even months. This is like a third world country. Some of these began due to acts of police brutality, while others have taken on lives of their own with wholesale looting and violence. The United States of America we see today is incredibly different from the one we saw at the beginning of the year. We've been racked by a pandemic, a subsequent economic catastrophe, and massive, widespread civil unrest. Article number 9. Here's how a cashless society would affect day-to-day life. Have you ever thought about the ramifications of a cashless society? I'm talking about the real first-person effects, not some inferential conspiracy theory or possibly biblical prophecy. This is bad news for a lot of reasons, but not of the least of which are the ways it would affect day-to-day life. And just talks about gifts. Thinks about all the time that gifts is an appropriate gift. Cash is an appropriate gift. I've always given money, like stuffing a child's birthday card with a $20 bill, or giving a new graduate some cash to put towards college expenses. When I got married, we received quite a bit of cash from various loved ones. My dad always gave my daughters some spending money of their own each time we visited, and they were surprised and delighted every time. First of all, the recipients would not be able to use cash. He or she would not be able to spend or deposit it. Okay? Secondly, if a monetary gift is given, that would have to be done with a check or electronic transfer. This means that the government and the taxman would know precisely how much money any person is given. That might not be a big deal for the 7-year-old who got $20 from grandpa, but what about the graduate who raked in a couple of thousand in gifts from family members to celebrate his or her accomplishment? At what point will the government have their hands out for their fair share? A lot of folks are really struggling right now with the COVID-19 shutdowns. Jobs have been lost, hours have been cut, financial problems abound. One of the ways that these people are making ends meet is the side gigs. Folks are cutting grass, cleaning houses, driving for Uber, delivering food, babysitting. They're coming up with all sorts of ways to make extra money. A huge percentage of these people are being paid in cash. But if suddenly you can no longer spend your money, you'd need to be paid electronically. How many people who don't already have a business have a merchant account for taking credit or debit cards? There are options like PayPal and Venmo, which take a percentage fee, but they're going to have to figure out something. And then above every single bit of this side money gig is traceable and trackable. This could quickly turn your $20 from lawn mowing into $15 after taxes. So they're just going to watch every single thing that we're going to be doing. And the last article is we should mourn for what is happening to America. This week in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and next week it will probably be somewhere else. Yet another senseless police shooting was followed by more rioting, looting, and violence. Of course, rioting, looting, and violence have basically become a nightly occurrence in America at this point anyway. The protests never seem to end in some cities, and crime rates are absolutely skyrocketing all over the country. Much of what is written about all of this chaos is focusing on trying to pin the blame on someone. But even if we could correctly identify who is to blame, will that actually stop the violence? I don't believe that it would. In fact, I don't think that anything is going to stop the violence anytime soon. I just feel so sad today. We are literally watching the meltdown of our society, and that process is going to continue no matter what happens in November. I have never seen so much anger in America, and it is a frightening thing that the level of anger seems to just keep growing. I wish we could learn to forgive one another, love one another, and come together as a society. For years I have been telling my readers that civil unrest like this was coming, and there is an entire chapter in my new book, Civil Unrest and Martial Law. So many of the things that myself and others have been warning about are now playing out right in front of our eyes, and there is absolutely no joy in being correct. There is only sadness. I love the United States of America, and what I see happening to our nation grieves me very deeply. So, I just wanted to bring y'all this. Y'all please leave me your comments below and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.